activities and currently is very involved with the Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and Alumni Association. He's done an enormous amount of research and organization for our master list and our in memory of listing on our website. Scott's understanding of our desire to find and honor all 40,000 of our alumni has resulted in us finding folks from as far back as our original 1980 graduation. The enormous amount of dedication that Scott has spent researching, recording, and uploading the data is immeasurable. Posting these memories on our members' website would not have been possible without Scott and others who do research with him on our research team. Scott's been married to his wife, Michelle, for over 40 years, and they have 3 sons that are married and 5 grandchildren. He currently resides in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I want to repeat that. He currently resides in Indiana, but he volunteers hours and hours and hours and hours every week for us. So we live in the remote world of work as well. Our foundation does. Scott came to us because he was beginning to plan for his class reunion, and he'd heard that we might have information to help him find classmates. Just like our distinguished alum here this evening from the class of 1952, he came to us for that reason. Scott came from the class of 1966 for that reason. After working with us for a very short time, he decided to implement one of our free websites for classes that we offer, and then actively started researching for his own classmates after 50 years of graduation. And that research piqued his interest, and as a result, he offered to help us when we were trying to track down other classes. Be careful what you volunteer for. This became a passion for Scott, and he's an exceptional researcher. As I said, he's asked me to present his message to you on his behalf since he's unavailable to attend. And we are looking forward to giving him his recognition and plaque later this summer when he attends one of our board meetings. So I'm going to present this as if I were Scott. This is his message to you. Good evening, board members, students, parents, distinguished alum, and teachers. First, I want to thank Jerry Lynn Ferguson for the nomination and the board for recognizing me with a Distinguished Service Award. While I do appreciate the honor, it's been a great pleasure to work with the research team and be able to help the board remotely from Indiana and South Carolina. There aren't too many volunteer opportunities like this. I moved to Cuyahoga Falls shortly before 9th grade in 1962. It was quite a transition from a small town to a large suburb, but it went very smoothly with the help of Dr. Ruth Clayton and others who formulated a plan for me as a mainstreamed deaf student to be a regular high school and take regular classes. Mr. George Dillon and Mrs. Jane Cochran were fantastic speech therapists, and they helped him improve his speech. I went into the him instead of me. They made me more aware of how I communicate and how it makes a big difference in relationships with others. They gave a great foundation for success, and my high school years were wonderful from an academic and social standpoint. As I look back on those years, one thing that stands out is that I was never bullied as a deaf student, which was not the case prior to coming to Cuyahoga Falls High School. I found nothing but acceptance from a variety of fellow students. This is part of why I enjoy giving back to the Cuyahoga Falls schools. Also, the Falls schools have a special place in my heart because of my mother at Bolig for many years, Jean Galehouse, who taught art and then became a guidance counselor. My college and early adult years were a little bit of a struggle at times, mainly because I could not really come up with a solid career choice. Even though I had specific majors in college and graduate school, it wasn't until I was 25 years old when my employer asked me to learn computer programming so I could modify purchased software to suit our business purposes. I took courses at Ohio State for this purpose. And that's when I realized information technology was my forte. So, my thoughts for you are, don't be concerned if you're not sure what you want to do for a living. Go to college, enjoy your time there, and you will learn from your experiences, both good and bad. Your ultimate career choice may not look like your major in college, but believe me, you will learn things in whatever you study that will benefit you in your future work. In my case, regional and community planning helped me greatly to enter management at my company in less than 5 years from an entry-level position. So many of the principles learned there apply to the business world. I strongly encourage you to make volunteerism a part of your life, if it isn't already. It is important, however, to place the volunteer activities in a proper perspective, so you do not unduly sacrifice family or work. While I've usually been involved with at least one volunteer activity most of the time, it was never at the expense of my children. In fact, some of it benefited my children, and I see my sons doing this now in their churches and community, and one young granddaughter is doing it too. As I have aged, the volunteer activities I do have changed. The foundation is ideal for someone to work from home on volunteer activities, as well as managing a forum for our resort community in South Carolina and serving on our HOA board in Indiana. Just keep an open mind to opportunities that will come up in your lifetime. And again, thank you to all of the board members for recognizing me this evening. Now I'd like to, well, let's get Scott. You might look at the video, so let's get it. And now we have a distinguished alum slide. Lucas, if you put that up. And Kathy's going to come up and present that. As Kathy Marshall, I believe, mentioned, at the end of our board meetings, we honor an alumni, and we call it a legacy award, who's our researcher, Linda Skidmore-Mavis, is discovered during her research, and she's also on the research team with Scott. Last year was the first year we decided to include one of these in our program, and we're just really excited about presenting to you one this evening again, and Kathy's going to do that.